Hi everyone, so today we got to play It's a Wonderful World.
The expansion, which is called Corruption and Ascension. We are super excited about this one.
Yeah, so if you saw our previous review for the basic It's a Wonderful World, you'd realize that this is a family favorite of ours. And so we were super excited that the expansion came out. I honestly had no idea what they could add to make the game better. But we'll just explain it.
I can tell you what they added.
Yeah, so what did they add?
So mostly, the most notable thing they added was this deck of cards. It's the Corruption and Ascension deck, basically. And it looks different on the back than the other cards. Can you hand me one of the standard ones over there so we can show the difference? So the standard versus the other. We can probably put a picture when we conjure the cards so you can see. I'm using all my conjuring energy again, but I've got Christmas conjuring energy, not injury, this time. So basically, the cards on this you will put into the draft along with the other cards, and they've added where you can play up to 7 players now, where it was previously 5 was the max. But they have changed the number of cards that you pass based upon the number of players, where it used to be 7. Now it varies based upon player count, but you mix in these cards based on a proportion based upon the number of players. So we played with 6 players, and we had 6 of the standard cards and 2 of these. And you would pass them along and draft and choose whichever one you wanted. It could be any of the 6 or any of the 2 of this. And then you just keep drafting until all 8 are drafted. So it works just like the other game, except for it adds these cards in. And what these cards do, there are corruption cards where the production will have positive strength production for different colors, but then you also have negative where they've got a slash through which count against your production, so you always have to deduct any of the corruption from your production. That, and then the biggest change is they've got some really powerful multiplier cards in here which are based upon pairs of things. So the pairs will combine, let's say, blue and yellow, or gray and black, or even gray and red tokens, or just any combination of the different things that you might collect. So, but they'll give you 10 points, 12 points per pair that you get. So you can get a lot of points off of those.
6 points with some of the easier ones, to be fair.
Yeah, some of them were like 5, 6, 7, 8. But like the one I had was 12, and that was crazy. Produced all kinds of points for me. So there's lots of powerful scoring in this. But they also require a lot of production or a lot of resources to build them. So some of them have double lines now of resources where it takes wraps around the card, and you have to produce that much to build the card. So that is the main change of this. Now, we got the Kickstarter version, which also included the Kickstarter items from the original Kickstarter. So we got the campaign ones, which there's a War Peace, which was I think from the original Kickstarter, and this I think is the new one. This is Leisure and Decadence, which is the campaign from the second Kickstarter. So we didn't add any of those in yet, so we don't know what those add. But they have boxes inside where you open them just like most any of the type of not campaign, but the legacy type games. So we're excited to try those, but we have to have the same people play on those. So and the campaigns only will still play up to 5. So you can't go up to the 7 like you can with the new base game, new expansion. So you're still restricted to 5 players on either of the campaigns. But I would assume, like most legacy games, they're going to add cards that you can permanently add into your decks once you open them. So excited to see what's in there. Don't spoil it for us. So if you know, don't put it in. We don't want to know. Don't put it into our text below. So is there anything else I'm leaving out? Oh, it also included a whiteboard. So this is really nice. It replaces the little pad of paper because we went through those like crazy. So this actually gives you the marker and a whiteboard, which is really nice, but you're going to need to replace these markers a lot because they don't hold a lot of ink.
Hey, but that's fine. And so Sarah was super excited to see the little bowls.
Yeah, so
To
apparently
put the
they were
cubes
part
in.
of the original Kickstarter. We just didn't get the Kickstarter original, for the first one.
I will say the bowls are a little bendy.
Yeah, they're not super impressive. I think you could still 3D print something better.
Yeah, probably, but it's still all right. They're functional.
Yeah, they're definitely functional.
Yeah, they're fine.
These are our 3D printed Terraforming Mars bowls that we had. So these were handy for the tokens because they require bigger.
Yeah, they require bigger, so that made more sense for that. So let's talk about quality of pieces. I think it's the same kind of cardstock for the cards. With the Kickstarter, we did get the nice little board and we did get some cups. Mm-hmm. So I think that made it a lot better.
Yeah, and they added a few more of these, but honestly, we played with 6 players and we were running out. There wasn't enough. So we still need some more of these tokens. So we probably will have to go the next time we go to a convention and see if we can find some of these.
Yeah, they have. I mean, I know they have them.
Yeah, so we just need to purchase some more to add to this because they added a set of them, and then even with the Kickstarter, there was another baggie full of a few of them, but it didn't still add enough for 7 players because we ran out with 6 players in the last round.
Yeah, so we'll need some more definitely. So give it a number though. What was the quality?
I think it's probably a 7. I mean, the cards, it's the same stock. I think 7 is what we gave it on the original. I don't think it's improved anything with this new. I mean, there's nothing that's been upgraded as far as quality of pieces. They're, all the cards are exactly the same card stock. These are the same. These are pretty flimsy. If anything, it would drop it a little bit because of that. Oh, and they also did add 3 victory point tokens. So if you start getting a stack of these, you can replace it with these. Honestly, I don't know why they did that because it seems like I'd rather have 3s for these because these are the things you run out of. We've never run out of victory point tokens in our games.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fine on that. But, overall, it works. And, and it's really, you have a concern if you're playing with the larger party size for your 7-8 that you do run out of. So I agree with that 7. I think we should stick with what we've done before. I think they stayed true to this series, and so that's fair. Theme again,
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember exactly. I think we gave it an 8 or something, but it's thematically exactly the same. They added some more fun cards into it. Again, it's the dystopian theme with the tongue in cheek that it's the wonderful world, like it's a utopia, but it's really a dystopia. That all of the military cards are, there wouldn't be a military if this was a utopia. You've got all kinds of disasters, inquisitors. I mean, just things that don't sound utopian at all in here. There was I know that we saw Pandora's Box. That's interesting. There was a Harry Potter card that was
the
Arcane Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also in the Kickstarter one there was some references to other board games like Terraforming Mars, it was just terraforming, but it was on Mars in the background, and there was a Union Station which was referencing some of the 18xx type games, and there was some nods to other games in it, which was kind of cool.
Well, we found that throughout is that they if you pay attention to the cards, there's some tongue in cheek to it, which is pretty cool. So I agree, 8 again on the theme. Nothing really changed. Even with this one, Corruption Ascension, they played into it, right? Like you got production, but you would take away production too. So it kind of touched in a little bit of that corruption aspect. So even with the new expansion, they did keep with the theme of where they were going for. So I appreciate that effort, definitely. So moving on to rules. How was the rule reading?
It's very similar to what the rule book was the first time around. It's very straightforward. It's very short because they really didn't add that much functionality to the game. I mean, it's got the new rules, which is really one page. I mean, it's the front page telling you how you distribute the cards differently based upon number of players, and then the 2 sections here for the end of game scoring and production, which is really based upon those new corruption cards, and the bottom is based upon those pairing cards for scoring. Apart from that, the rest of this book is solo mode and 6 and 7 player adjustments, and then a bunch of solo scenarios if you're doing, it's like story mode. So the rule book is really nicely written. It's easy to interpret, and then it also does have compatibility, talking about how to play it with the War and Peace expansion, or the Leisure and Decadence expansion. So that's all there is to the rule book. I think I gave this an 8, I believe, if I recall right. I could be wrong, but whatever the score was I gave it before, it's the same score. I think it was an 8. It's super easy to read.
Yeah. So, and then the next thing we obviously are going to talk about, gameplay. Again, very similar to the old one. The only difference is they did add a different set of cards. They did add where you draft. The amount of cards is drafting is different from the amount of players you have. But I really don't think there was too much additional gameplay as far as mechanisms. It's just that the cards were different.
Well, I felt like the game played entirely differently, honestly. I'm kind of struggling because I gave it a perfect 10 on gameplay last time, if I recall right, and I think it's better. And I don't know how you go better than 10. So it's like, this is, I think, I love what they've added to this. I mean, it adds more capabilities of scoring and more thought process into what are you going to keep and how are you going to try to strategize. Or maybe it's just, it gives me a new variant. So because it's novel, it feels much better. I don't know. It's still a 10. It's still a great game. And I think the new functionality to me adds some new life into it that makes me even want to play more now.
Yeah, I do think it gives it a fresh breath, if you will, to one of our family favorites. And so that's going to be interesting. I do think Sarah, because Sarah played with us again tonight, she struggled a lot more because of the increased complexity. So being aware of that, you know, before at the base game, you could kind of get in some of those younger audience. With the expansion, I don't think that that's possible. So I do kind of want to call that out.
Yeah.
Because, she did so well in the last game, but this game she only scored 9 points. And I think she had some problems choosing. And so I do kind of want to throw that out there. But I do agree. It's a fantastic game. I gave it a 9 last time. I'm still going to give it a 9. Or maybe I gave it a 10. I don't know.
No, I gave it a 10. Yeah, I think
I did. I think I gave it a 9. I still think it holds a 9. Is the expansion worth adding to the collection? I think you've already kind of said yes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much level of involvement you want in this game. I mean, that's the thing. You could be perfectly happy with the base game and it plays fine, and it's going to probably continue to play fine for years to come. But if you really love the game like we do, then you want to get more involved, this is a great expansion. It adds new functionality to the game. It adds new life. It adds more players.
And adding depth to it. So I guess it really depends on the kind of game player that you are. And if you're seeking just a little bit more challenge, I think they added it in a good amount, right?
Yeah.
Just enough, a little bit of challenge to increase the gameplay and the depth of it. So I do think that they did a phenomenal job staying consistent within the game that they've created with this expansion, and I'm highly impressed with what they've done. Because, we've encountered expansions that they add and it just detracts from the game. This definitely added to the game.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what they did there.
Yeah, and they didn't overdo it. I mean, it's
correct, absolutely.
They added some basic functionality, a couple new rules, new things. They didn't flood you with a ton of stuff, and it's not modular like the some things like Battlestar. When we talked about Battlestar adding in where you can do modular, which that would have been, I guess, a nice thing if they could have made it. But there's really not that much to make it modular. I mean, there's only in essence one module that was added. It's not enough to justify multiple modules. But I think it's fresh enough and new, novel enough to make the card game feel like different. It doesn't. I mean, I know what my strategy was completely different. I was like immediately when I first got my hand and got dealt what I got, and I was like, okay, I got to totally change how I would normally play this game. I still went primarily yellow, but I modified it to adapt to include blue this time, which I don't normally do at all.
Right. Well, I mean, but I think that's the thing is it just adds new cards and it forces you to do combos that not necessarily work perfectly together, which I think is a really good thing. So, because before it was pretty much every player picked a color and that's the color that they went with. Maybe they picked two, but this one kind of forces a little bit to, okay, well, I need to pick up yellow and blue because this card I just picked up. So I think that's kind of good instead of just keeping with the sequences having to diverge a little bit. But overall, well done. Did we give I think we did give the final score.
Yeah.
Would we play it again? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm jonesing to play right now again. So yeah, I mean it's definitely something that I'm going to keep bringing to the table, and I know that everyone in the family loves this game, and so far all the friends we've introduced to love this game, and my only dread is I'm going to have to keep buying copies of this for our friends.
I know, and especially now that we've got the Kickstarter, you can't just give away ours.
Oh no, yeah, that's a good. I guess it's probably not going to sell these two when it comes out in the stores. I'm guessing, so I'll only be buying this piece of it, which is probably not going to be as expensive. So, I definitely will not be giving away Kickstarters to everyone. So.
Absolutely. So, we had a great night. We had a fun night, and we're so glad that you were able to join us tonight. If you like what you've seen or heard, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And we hope to see you guys later.
Yep.
Bye. Bye.